Hello everybody, it is a terrific Tuesday, also known as the 12th of February, and I am your lovely host Tashi, not speaking in the royal we today either. Okay, a couple things on my mind today. First off, so as I was driving home yesterday, I was annoyed, of course, as I normally am when I drive, because people piss me off. The thing that I can't really understand is, okay, I know that not everybody was a great student in school. However, I had to have 1 year of a class in physics when I was in high school. I don't know what the requirements are for most other people in Arizona. I do know, however, that in Arizona you have to have at least 1 fucking year of physics in high school. Basic physics involve learning about certain things, like how forces react upon other forces. Now, maybe this is hard to translate from workbook into driving a car, but here's the thing. When you go around a curve in a car, most people slow down so fucking much that they're crawling, going from like 45 to doing 8 miles an hour around a curve. You don't actually have to stop that slow. Here's the thing, unless you're driving an SUV, you can actually slow down before you turn, and then if you speed up as you're going around the turn, what's called centripetal force, not centrifugal, that's not actually an acting force. Little physics lessons, everybody. Centripetal force, if you increase your speed as you're turning around that curve, will actually shoot you around it. So you don't have to brake. You don't have to worry about your car tipping over either. It's really an interesting thing. And if more people would know that they didn't have to fucking stop before they made a turn, I would be less angry when I drive. Also, people, check your brake lights. Because if you're driving for a full 3 miles with your brake lights on the entire time, I am going to be honking on your butt a lot. So, fuck you, get your brakes checked. Alright, moving on off that nice little stressful subject. Okay, I was watching Antiques Roadshow last night, and interestingly enough, I had a knock on my door, and it was my brother. Lo and behold, he had gone over and emptied out a couple other things at my dad's old storage closet, picked up a few things from my grandmother. So I now have 3 literal turn-of-the-century pillows. My grandmother was born in Hong Kong, back when it was British Hong Kong at the turn of the century. She was, after her father died when she was 6, she was taken by her grandmother, who's from the Victorian era, back to England. She had never been there before. She was born in Hong Kong. And she taught her basically how to be a lady, because my grandmother was very, very little when this all happened. So I have now pillows that my great-great-grandmother taught my grandmother how to sew when she was 7. So I have pillows that are from the early 1920s, which is really cool, and now I have no idea what to do with them except stick them in the back of my closet. So ideas, suggestions, people, because I don't really want to lose these, but at the same time, I have no idea what to do with them. Yeah, I have 3 of them, and they're all roughly about, let's say, 6 inches by 4 inches by maybe 3 inches. So they're pretty small. Okay, a couple more things. I was watching American Gladiators as well last night. Yes, I watched TV last night. It was Monday night. It was my night off. And I don't really like American Gladiators. I haven't actually watched it yet. I was flipping through channels, and it was almost at the end. And it was where the guys were racing through the very, very last part, and they have to climb up a moving walkway that is, going down, like a little treadmill. And it took about 4/10 of a second for me to be transported back to when I was 7 years old younger than that, back to when I was 5 or 6 years old watching American Gladiators when it was on in the 80s or really early 90s, something like that. And I can remember from back then watching the contestants have to climb up the same machine, and it was just this wonderful, exquisite moment where I remembered myself 20 years ago watching TV and just feeling so, oh, that is so cool. And it was just, I'm not old enough to really have too many of those moments, so it was awesome, and I treasured that. Okay, last thing for today, and then I will completely shut up and let y'all move on with your lives. So yesterday, down in Phoenix, we found a, for lack of a better word, indoor mummy. Basically, somebody had been killed under 10 years ago, more than 5 years ago. Their body had been placed in a bathtub, had been covered with sand, and left there. Now, the rate of decomposition for that body, although it has been mummified, is completely different than a body that was left out in the sun to mummify over a period of, 5 years or so. So we have this body now that is basically like the most awesome research project ever. And aside from the fact that it is an open case, yes, somebody was killed there. We're going to have to find out if it was, murder, accidental, what happened, who was it, all that fun stuff. I'm really going to go over to the lab tonight and beg. I think I'm just going to get down on my knees and beg my professor to let me work on this case when he's done with it, because I can turn it into such a great thesis project, comparing the rates of decomposition to a person that was left in a high temperature place inside, away from certain insect activity and direct exposure to the sun, things like that, versus some of the cadavers that I was working with in the summer that had been left out in the desert to be skeletonized over a period of 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years. So this is really cool, fits in exactly with what I'm doing, and I would love to be able to get my hands on this body, for lack of a better word. And I know it sounds horrible, but at the same time, for me, this is absolutely fascinating things. So that's about it for me today, and hopefully I'll have something interesting tomorrow. Video updates the next little bit might be a little bit splotchy. My work computer is being taken in to get a couple new programs added onto it. However, hopefully I will continue to update as regular as I can. Anyway, this is now over 6 minutes, which is an incredibly long post for me, and hopefully I'll be able to upload it in time. Anyway, remember everybody to just keep fighting that good fight. Tashi's out.